Guys, did you know that the humble AR-15, chambered in just 5.56, .223, is capable of far, far greater distances than you probably gave it credit for? I just got out of a course that I took, Mid-Range Marksman. It's our own Warrior Poet Society class, taught by our Special Forces sniper, Josh. Josh been teaching Special Forces guys how to do long distance shooting for a very long time. He is extremely good, and holy cow, me and the other instructors that piloted this new course really learned a lot. And so here's the thing of, I thought I was good to go on a lot of stuff. I know how to mount an optic to a gun. Apparently I don't though, because I learned all kinds of stuff and I'm like, man, I got to go back through and get all of my optics and remount them because I was not nearly as picky on how it's done. Furthermore, I'm a good shooter. I've been shooting for a very long time. However, at distance with extreme precision, I guess I don't know anything. So I want to share in this video some considerations, some aha moments for me that's going to get you up on plane immediately, shooting further and not wasting a bunch of money on kit that you don't need. Okay, I can see that this video is sponsored by Aura. Guys, have you ever Googled your own name and your address or phone numbers or email addresses pop up? Your information is everywhere. That's why I like Aura. Aura is able to opt you out of all these data brokers that are selling your information all over the place. Furthermore, it gives you VPN, it gives you antivirus software, it gives you password management, identity theft protection. Whereas I've decided to take care of my own physical security, I trust Aura for my online security. Guys, stop leaving your precious information available to data breachers and data brokers. Visit my sponsor, aura.com/WPS to start a 14-day free trial. Additionally, there's a fun quiz. Are you smarter than a scammer? Visit the link down below, take the quiz, and go ahead and start your free trial now. Let's do gun videos now. Here we go. Guys, you're gonna see all kinds of accessories in this video. Make sure you check down below this video. There's a link that goes to our website so you get the right thing and not spending all day shopping. Without further ado, let's go ahead and go up into setup. Right here, this is an EOTech Voodoo. It's a 1 to 10. The course for a mid-range marksman, this is distances like 300, 400, 500, 600 meters is really where you're going. You're gonna want at least a 6 power. I have bad eyes, and so I went ahead and jumped for a 10. And though it is no secret, I'm not a big EOTech fan, this optic is really, really wonderful. What I'm glad is I got a first focal plane. There's second focal plane and first focal plane. For me and my bad eyes, first focal plane is really, really good, so I can really count my mil dots as I need to. So 1 to 10 first focal plane, really important. The next thing you want is make sure you have at least a 16-inch gun. And this is where you'll want to make sure that your barrel is something that's really, really precise. Long range stuff is not where you grab the bargain bin special on Black Friday sale. That's not the gun for it. You want the best barrel you can possibly get. And you want to pair that with the best ammo you can get too. So I'm shooting match grade ammo for the longer range stuff. Now, as you're learning longer range shooting, it's important to have really good glass, really good barrel, really good ammo, so that you can take all those variables out of the reasons why you're missing. If you've got a bunch of reasons why you may be missing, you're never going to really narrow it down. And so let's take all the mechanical variables out of it so it can just be us, the shooter. What are we doing to screw things up? Now, for learning the longer range, I think match grade ammo is really important to take that variable out. That's what Josh told us. That's why our mid-range marksman class requires match grade. It just takes one variable out. However, from distances 300, 400, 500, 600 meters, you can use just standard ball, and a lot of the ammo will get you done. But you don't know what variants you're doing, and so when you're learning, match grade is good to take that variable out. Other kind of essential kit, you will want a bipod, and the bipod you'll want to be able to cant and tilt. That's a really big deal, so that you make sure when you're on some imperfect surface that you're able to level out your gun. Now, right now, I do not have a level here. However, I've ordered some. They'll go right there, so I can make sure when I'm on difficult terrain, I can go ahead and make sure everything is lined up flush so that all my ballistics are performing right. If you're a little bit off, then none of your math is going to work right. What I realized is once I started setting this thing up and just wiring everything nice and tight, this has really become a dedicated gun. This is for longer distances, and man, don't even come near this glass. It's all set up perfect. It's wired in for me. Nobody look at it the wrong way or something's gonna start missing. and it'll be your fault. No, get out of here. Ha! Now, some other very important equipment for shooting longer range is some kind of laser rangefinder. I had this, I thought I'd be using a lot. This is the Ranger 1800, and it served me pretty well doing some closer in stuff. But when I tried to range stuff at 500-600 meters, this thing wasn't picking up. And so I was really irritated with that. However, I think this is pretty good. It did not serve my purposes for the class. Instead, what squared me away were these Vortex. This is 10 by 42 Fury HD 5000 ABs. These things were spectacular. I could see as far as I wanted to, and it's got ability to range stuff right here, so I can measure distances, and even out to 1,000 yards, it was giving me really accurate ranging. And so this was really, really important. And so if you want to be able to range stuff, one is if you're really good with your mil dots, you know, kind of inside about 600 meters, you can mill stuff and you can calculate distance. However, that's math, and I don't like math. Having a little laser rangefinder, man, that's really good, and you do not want to skimp on it. You'd be like, man, that'll hurt. That's expensive. I'm like, yep, go ahead and get the right thing. Go for the big hotness right out of the gate, and you'll be better for it. Another thing is a spotting scope. To have a spotting scope so that you can really be able to read the wind and to be able to see the trace so that you can know what's going on. This became really, really essential kit for the mid-range marksman class. Now for the course, if you really can't get it, somebody else will have it and you can be able to look through theirs. I really like this Vortex one. However, I am grieved that it has no mil dots inside of it. That was really bad news for me. It's just completely open, and where that's good for watching the trace of the round, so you can watch the bullet fly and see what's going on. And it's also good for being able to see the wind and what's happening downrange so that you can make your adjustment calls. This was great for it. However, I would have been better served with something with mil dots, because when I was calling corrections, I was just kind of blind. Also, I found out, Josh taught us, bigger magnification is not necessarily better. This one starts at 16 power and goes all the way up to 48 power. And you would think of like, give me the farthest power you want. But if you're really seeing trace and you're watching wind, being really cammed in for high magnification, you really can't see that stuff. And so what you'll want to do is really cam out. You're not using all the magnification you have. If more isn't necessarily better. And so this one's starting at 16 power of like, I wouldn't mind my next one 14 power or something, like 12 power, and then going out. And I really don't need it that goes all the way out to 48 power for the purposes of what we're doing here. Now, if we're doing an ELR course, extreme long range, yeah, some greater magnification, I bet will come in play. Part of the mid-range marksman and how it differs for a designated marksman rifle class, DMR class, is our mid-range marksman is designed to really get you ready for extreme long range. So whereas in a designated marksman class, you would never be dialing dope, you'd always be doing holds. In this class, mid-range marksman, you'll learn how to dial dope. Fun thing is, this girl and I, we went out to 1,000 yards. There just happened to be targets way, way out there. I couldn't see them with my naked eye. I'm like, I could barely see them with glass, and I'm like, I think I can hit it. However, if I was just doing holds, the hold would be so high above it, I ran out of mil dots here. It was literally, to be able to make that shot, I would have had to hold the target outside of the scope. I had to dial dope to be able to do that. You're holding over a full house above the target to be able to come down and hit it. It was amazing, and I was making hits at 1,000 yards with this. Some other essential equipment. I didn't invest in a shooting pad, and this is just some rubber crap I got. I ended up immediately ordering a shooting mat. Before I'd even finished the course, I ordered a shooting mat because the guys with cool shooting mats, I'm like, yep, that's better. And this is all slipping around and stuff, and I'm like, shooting mat, I'm like, what a Ponzi scheme of like, I'll just get a little air mattress or something, and then I'm slipping and sliding on that, and it was noisy and it was moving under me. I'm like, nope, that's a bad idea as well. And so an actual shooting mat, I think, is important equipment. You're laying down all day, and or you're up on a tripod. So anyway, one of these bags that you can put under your buttstock and squeeze to adjust elevation. These are really important. I like that a lot. Something to be able to write down your dope. Some accessories will mount on your scope where you can fill in a dope card, and that's basically how many clicks elevation or what do you hold for certain distances and different temperatures and different bullet weights that you're doing, and so that you would be able to have a quick cheat sheet. And so this is not the ideal one. I want something that mounts to my scope or on my gun. And so I'm still thinking through that, but a dope sheet, essential equipment. Last piece of essential equipment, and then we'll get into some of the shooting mistakes that I was making and some of the reasons why I'm missing at distances, is you'll need some kind of tool set that allows you to ratchet down and torque to spec. So when the base screws on your mount call for 40 pounds, you'll be able to adjust 40 pounds. When the scope ring screws say 25 pounds, you'll be able to do it exactly that. So it's as tight as you can get it without actually crushing your optic, which would be bad. That's all the essential kit. I want to get into the actual shooting part. Here we go. Now, in my time in Ranger Battalion, I wasn't a sniper, I was a door kicker. And so to that end of like clearing rooms, I would have my buttstock up a little bit tighter to me. I wouldn't want such length right there. And I would clear pretty much squared up dead on. Now, as soon as I approached something longer range, for whatever reason, I was pulling a shoulder slightly back, and I found out that's really, really bad. Instead, I want to keep that more squared off posture, and the buttstock shouldn't be over on the shoulder. It should be in the pocket or even closer if you can, especially on a tripod like this. You want to really fall into it as much as you can, like so. I can immediately tell this needs to be further out. For the tripod, he also pointed out that one leg should be straight in front, so that you can kind of lean into it a bit like that. And ideally, you're just kind of squaring up more on it and you're leaning into it as well. I also found, especially when I was laying down in the prone, I had the gun too far up on my shoulder when what I needed to do is be on top of it a little bit more, crushing it down. Now, one of the biggest reasons that I was missing, whether it was on tripod or whether it was on bipod laying in the prone, is whenever I wanted to make any micro adjustment, I'm like, all right, I need to go a little bit left on this. What I would do is I would use my upper body, or I'd use my hand, or I'd use this other hand, anything I could do to kind of steer that gun, and my body would kind of stay more static. Josh pointed out immediately, like, nope, what happens is if you have any of twisting, any kind of muscular change up here to kind of pull the windage of your optic on target, as soon as you go to shoot and the gun moves, it'll snap back to that place and it throws your round off target. And now you're like, it's not a big distance, but it's a little bit. Hey, little distances at range end up being big misses. So I'm trying to shoot real tight groups at 100 yards. I'm trying to stack rounds on top of each other. And lo and behold, as soon as I stopped doing that, my rounds were stacking on top of each other. Sub-MOA groups, that's what I like. But it was my body position that was screwing that up. So to remedy that, you think of your upper body kind of like a statue. It gets in great position, all nice and aimed in. I'm gonna put my thumb on this side so that I don't have any cross grip right here. So this is how we shoot right here. This hand will usually come up over here for a tripod shot right here. You can also use your sling and wrap it through if you want to, but you gotta be careful because if the sling pulls from one side, it's pulling the muzzle over. So that could be a really bad thing. Didn't work for me at all. You can put your hand up here. I like to cross it right here. Now here's the kicker. When you wanna make any change, it comes by moving the body, not by flexing or moving any part of your shoulders. Look at that little shimmy right there. You don't want to do that junk. It comes from the hips, like you're salsa dancing. You know, it's not like salsa dancing at all, actually. Shuffle your body into alignment. Don't use your muscles in any way to adjust the hold. One kind of hack to see where you are is lay down behind the gun, close your eyes, and then open it to make sure that you've got your right cheek weld, everything's flush, you can see straight through your optic, and you'll see where your natural point of aim is. Then, while keeping all that correct, you can move your lower body to keep all of that flush and be able to drive yourself on target as you need to. All right, a couple other considerations for shooting longer range. Elevation, knowing what your holds are, or dialing up the dope. You either use your dope card or some applied ballistics app, or maybe you got a Kestrel with applied ballistics, something that will tell you at whatever distance to be able to know what to hold. So if you use your rangefinder, it says 520 yards, you're able to put that in your ballistic computer, or you're able to kind of guesstimate what that would be on your dope card based on other shots around that. Then you can either dial your dope up so it kind of lifts that shot where it needs to be, or you use your mil dots and you count and you just basically hold above target. That's your elevation. Now, some considerations that I didn't know, and this matters a lot more when you get out further at distance elevation, is if it's really cold or really hot, the temperature changes a good bit. Now, it's not just because the air is more or less dense, which changes how the bullet flies through the air. That's one way temperature affects, but it also affects the burn rate. And so if the temperature drops dramatically, your burn rate changes, which means your powder isn't going to burn as fast. And that means you don't have as much power of the round. So temperature is affecting two different variables. And so I didn't realize how much temperature can matter when you're starting to push out further at distance. In the mid-range marksman class, Josh basically breaks it all up into mathematics, where you're able to look at thermal drift and the movement of vegetation and all kinds of stuff so that you can have some numbers that are attached to that and some calculations. So it's not just guesstimation. However, if we spent hours on it in a video, you still wouldn't be able to get it. I know that because I need to take the class again because I still don't got it. I got a little bit better, but holy smokes, that looks like to be really, really good at spotting wind calls and corrections and distances, and to be able to do it on the fly quick. That is I have a new respect for what the snipers go through to be able to make good calls like that. I noticed with a good spotter, man, I'm amazing. And with a bad spotter, man, I really suck. So it really, in a sniper team, it's the spotter that is the more senior guy. It's the far harder job. And man, it is a science and it is an art. And our instructor, Warrior Poet Instructor Josh, is amazing at it. I highly, highly encourage you to check out Warrior Poet Society website and sign up for our mid-range marksman course. Now, one more thing that I learned that I absolutely love is my scope and the distance my buttstock is out sets up so that when I look through my scope, I have a little bit of scope shadow. Now, that seems counterintuitive because for me, a door kicker, I want a nice, clean field of view as big as I can get it with zero scope shadow. What I found though is if I had a little bit of a ring of scope shadow, I could put the world that I could see perfectly in that scope shadow and effectively eliminate parallax. Parallax is when you move your head behind the optic, the gun may not move, and you see a perceived shift in your point of aim versus your point of impact. Whether it's x-axis, y-axis, z-axis as you're moving around, that can lead to huge shifts in where you're aiming versus where you're hitting. So parallax is bad, and the way to eliminate that is have a little bit of scope shadow. So that means your optic is a little bit further forward than you might be comfortable with. Guys, this was really just considerations. I think some of you are gonna walk away and immediately be able to make some adjustments and be a better shooter. But if you really want to stretch the legs of a gun and see what you can do, I couldn't recommend getting in a course enough. Check down below the video. Love to be able to train with you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Train hard, train smart. We'll see you next time.